So, when I was running around doing side quests yesterday, we saw this one on the map before going on to the plot. And luckily I saved, like, right beforehand as a branch save. But there's actually a cutscene for this one, so... I guess I'm gonna have to record the side quest stuff.
It looks like there's someone on the ground. A collapsed High Entia outside Colony 6.
Yeah, Tyrea. The sister from the tomb that had attacked... Or the assassin from the tomb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's this? Ain't she the one who attacked us in the capital?
You! Tyrea! What are you doing here? You're hurt.
Do not touch me, vile girl.
Watch it!
Oh.
Oh.
Tyrea, what happened?
Is she dead?
No. It looks like she just passed out. Let's get her to the infirmary. Rhine!
Come on, why me?
Please.
Is she okay?
Her injuries aren't severe. When the Bionis awoke, the ether flow around the colony became unstable. Maybe that's why she lost consciousness.
No, that's not what I meant.
You mean, why didn't she become a Telethia?
Precisely.
For pure-blooded High Entia to become Telethia, the ether energy surrounding the Bionis has to be above a certain level. Luckily, the level of ether energy here is not as high as on the upper regions of Bionis. That may be what kept her safe. Or perhaps...
Perhaps what?
No. It's nothing.
She could be a hybrid too.
Something about this makes me feel uneasy.
I know what you mean. We'll have to keep an eye on her recovery.
Why does she hate you so much, Melia? You're both High Entia. Is being pure-blooded really that important?
Tyrea's birth mother is most likely my stepmother. You don't mean... Yumea? Yes. I heard about it from Callian after I returned from the tomb. Mother was the leader of the Inquisitors, a secretive organization operating in the shadows of the Imperial household. The group plotted to maintain the Imperial bloodline through a clandestine ritual. A ritual where Tyrea was conceived.
And she was secretly raised as an Inquisitor assassin? Hold on a sec. Are you saying that Tyrea is Callian's half-sister?
That's right. Then isn't she in the same position as you? Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
Tyrea! You're awake!
I had more right to the throne than she ever did. Were it not for the consort system that has so polluted the pride of our people, it would have been me, a pure-blooded High Entia who would build the future of our people. But you... You are a hypocrite. Just like me. If we are honest, what is the difference? You too would take the lives of your own people to protect your bloodline. Melia, you too are nothing but an assassin.
You're wrong.
I don't buy that for a second.
Rhine!
Pride of your people? How about you're jealous of Melia?
Do you really think I would be jealous of her?
Ain't ya? You're envious of her, right? Of how she lives her life. You just want everyone to feel sorry for you, for being in the shadows all your life.
How dare you? No Hom speaks to me like that.
I'm saying that you'll never have a life like Melia's. You don't have the faintest idea why Melia's been fighting. Even if you'd been born in her place, the Emperor still would have chosen her as his successor. Succeeding the Imperial line ain't all about blood. It's about taking on the will to do whatever it takes. For your land, for your people, when the time comes. That's what makes Melia different from you.
How dare you?
Both of you, stop this! This is no time for pointless bickering.
He's right. We survivors shouldn't be fighting amongst ourselves. Right, time's up. I want the room cleared out.
Yeah, okay.
And you need to calm down and get some rest.
Ugh.
Go Rhine.
Yep.
Wait, she was just let go?
Me. Envious. I only think of my people. What is that?
Uh-oh. Ether energy. Watch out. Ah. Is that her mom or something?
Oh.
Because what did happen to the evil mother?
I don't think we ever got an answer on that one. She was taken away.
Uh-oh.
What's going on?
Look! Over there!
Have they merged too?
The colony!
Telethia!
This part of the cutscene seems kind of stilted, where it's just like, well, they just let that one in.
Guys, she's gone.
Tyrea, you mean? Could that Telethia be her?
No. At least, I'm fairly certain.
What?
There's no time now. We must pursue it.
I guess I should probably do this quest.
Mm-hmm. You see, this is what I wanted all the side quests to be.
Yeah.
But, so, fewer side quests, but, you know, these nice little cutscene arcs.
Yeah.
Where they develop side characters and such.
It would feel a lot better. I'm so glad I had that
Because
spare
I
save.
wondered why they even brought up the Inquisitors.
Yeah, because it was, like, such a short, like, villain than nothing. And I kind of wish they had been more of an issue. Okay. Let's see. So this is the main save, not the branch save.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, we have a lot of these. Let's see. Oh, it's probably based on Melancholia Tyrea. There we go. So let's just quick do this one while we're actually both here in front of a mic.
Mm-hmm. Well, because this one's going to be assured to have the cutscenes. We don't know about other ones.
Yeah.
You might have to be cautious.
Well, what I'm going to do is just, after we're done with this one, cycle the recording, and then just record me doing boring grind. And then probably just delete it all.
Or, you know, we get on mic just for the ones with cutscenes.
Well, yeah, but
I really
I'm assuming there won't be.
Oh, there it is. And
It
I hear
must
the
be
boss
Tyrea
battle.
after all. What do we do? Do we have to fight her?
There's no time to think about it. Ready yourselves!
Wander.
Ooh. This is level 80.
What?
Double woe.
What?
I do not have the right party members for this one. Well, this is fine. This is why I play it on casual mode. It might make the game easier, but it also means that I don't have to go off and, like, grind so I can do a side quest.
Now, the interesting thing is, if they do defeat the Telethia, is it just going to dissipate, or are we going to have a final cutscene? Oh, supernova. Death. Uh-oh.
It's okay.
You only have 12 seconds to avert it. 8.
Okay, it's averted.
Oh, he's doing supernova.
Yeah.
Ah! Okay, but Dunban didn't die from it. Oh, except he's gonna... Okay, oh. Thank goodness Charlotte was able to do that heal. Or Riki, whichever one you used.
Let's see.
I'm just gonna call Riki the butt basher right now.
He kind of is the butt basher. He and Riki, Shulk, and Fiora like to do it from behind.
Wander.
It's truth. Charlotte?
It's just a rogue tactic. Oh, you're wondering why Charlotte isn't healing Dunban?
Charlotte healed Dumble.
Maybe she's
It's okay.
stunned or something? Alright. Also,
She didn't
no,
have
the
a debuff.
bugs with the rocks. They've
okay.
joined the battle.
They do no damage, and in fact are just dying based on proximity. Like, they're giving me 16 EXP. These are not things actually worth fearing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Telethia's down. Smack. That was a good one.
Maybe it was a bit of a mistake.
Uh-oh, it's charging up for an attack. Ultimate Cannon 9.
Well, worked out for me. I gave Dunban a shield
Oh.
right before.
Was it a full shield?
It makes him immune to 1 instance of damage.
So because it was charging up for a single giant assault, it negated it completely. Nice. See, those are the kind of tactics that are good for conflicts like this.
Yep. Interestingly enough, this Telethia does not have the usual thing where it's like, where you just start missing it nonstop. Either
I think it's because of the... I mean, we're on the lower levels.
I wonder if I
Also-
knocked it down right as it got it, or if I got...
Oh, before it could bring up its shield? Maybe.
Yeah, either that or it just didn't trigger. I'm not really sure. Well, one way or another, this was fairly easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad I don't have to worry about level differences too much. It's still occasionally causing problems, but it's not huge.
Still wants to kill Dunban.
Yeah.
But you'll probably kill it before it can mount that attack.
Yeah. And if not, I will heal it. Or heal Dunban.
Not heal
Dunban.
it.
Sorry. Well,
I really dislike it in games when you can accidentally heal enemies.
it
What?
works in certain games, like Divinity Original Sin.
Well,
I think
that's
you
because
could.
you could use it as a tactic to heal undead, and
Yeah.
then it would kill
There are
them.
absolutely times where it works, and it's kind of fun.
Shulk, I must...
I know.
Stop!
Tyrea! You're safe.
You do realize that Telethia is Umea.
Umea?
I was pursuing Umea. Even though she knew it was her fate to transform, she remained faithful to the Bionis.
But why? Didn't she feel betrayed?
Everyone has their own beliefs, and what they believe is their own choice. Umea adhered to her path. I pursued her so that I could fulfill her final wish.
Her final wish.
Umea was imprisoned within the Tower of Investigation. She told me that after she transformed into a Telethia, I was to destroy her as quickly as possible. She wished to sacrifice herself to the Bionis. At least, that is what I believed at first. But I now understand Umea's true desire. That is why I must...
This is my responsibility.
Melia, why?
Father entrusted me with the Empire and its people. What I believe in is the will of those struggling to survive. I have to fight if I am to convey this to the next generation. Besides, Yumea is your birth mother. There is no need for you to carry out such an unpleasant task.
Is the same not true of you? You may not be of her blood, but you still think of her as your...
This is a duty that my father and brother conferred upon me.
Melia.
Tyrea, I believe you and I are alike.
Alike? Never, vile girl.
What?
My gratitude for assisting Yumea. I mean, Mother.
They do fly? I've never seen them.
It looks so dumb.
I've never seen them fly with their wings before.
There she goes.
Is she going to be okay on her own?
She'll be alright. We and Tyrea share the same goal. Our paths are sure to meet again.
Yeah, you're right. Melia, what did you mean just now? When you said you and Tyrea are alike?
Tyrea must be half Homs, just like me.
What? But the wings on her head.
Not all half-blooded High Entia have small wings, only the majority. Some are indistinguishable from pure-blooded High Entia. Dominant and recessive inheritance. I've studied this.
So that's why.
Melia, do you think Yumea knew this would happen?
Perhaps. Actually, she had to have known. At least, that's what I believe.
She was her mother after all. She must have been aware.
Yes.
Empress staff.
Yep. So it's an upgrade. Hey, chest for those dumb beetles that we honestly didn't need. Okay, well, that's that for that side quest. You can probably go off and do other things, because I can only imagine the remaining side quests are boring.
We'll have to see.
Yep.
I mean, who knows what you'll encounter next. But this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have...
Small character building moments, lore, background story, interesting things.
Yep. Pretty much. I expected there to be more steps along the way that didn't involve cutscenes, but it would culminate in that cutscene, where maybe you pursued the Telethia, had to kill other things, pursued the Telethia, killed a couple more things, and then you finally killed the Telethia at the end. But nah, looks like they just cut to the chase.
Yeah. Because yeah, all I need is a quick cutscene, and suddenly I will care about a
side quest that much more.
Yeah. Or even heck, just have a character like talk for a while I'm doing it.
Yeah, because so many of the side quests were an NPC that didn't have the strength to kill something on their own, and they needed help. Just looking around. Oh, there's a quest down there.
Must be.
Maybe it's on the floor of the... Oh, no, you're gonna die. Or you just hit the water.
Yep.
Oof.
No land down there. Ah.
What kind of item is this? Oh, an ancient document.
Yeah, there's a lot of side quests that we never completed because they were they were not time sensitive, so I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm sure there were a number of side quests that we never completed because...
We got caught in the long string of
Yep.
cutscenes and such.
Yeah.
For the main plot.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure there are also a number of side quests that were purely just like...
I'm just so surprised that there is a substantial... So, in other science fiction and fantasy stories, it makes sense that there are times of reprieve because the heroes and the villains clash and then they regroup and they have their armies or their people to assemble. But they are living on a giant moving object that's currently under the control of...
It would have made a lot more sense if Lady Mayneth had actually managed to land a blow.
And he had to recover.
Yeah, on Zanza, you know. I mean, I guess kind of. Maybe that's even the point. That, like, they should have explained it as, you know, it's still going to take some amount of time for that wound in the side to close, and that's Zanza's current, like, goal.
Well, I suppose they did say that in order for him to enact his ultimate return, he's going to have to bring much of the life on Bionis back into himself.
Yeah, and so maybe it's kind of a longer thing. I think really all they need is just like a bunch of side quests that are just like defend Colony 9, 8.
Oh, 6.
Oh yeah, Colony 9, Colony 6.
Where you're foiling his efforts to bring Ether back into the Bionis by killing people.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Telethi are intended to do.
Yep. And so, like, just having, I'm gonna have to move the green screen. Just having a couple of cutscenes here and there, and a couple of, like, side quests that are just like, hey, these towns are just perpetually under attack until you stop the Telethia, would give that sense of urgency.
Can we talk a little bit about the villains that are... They always advocate for the destruction of the world. It's interesting, but this is one of the first villains where it almost makes sense.
Yeah, this actually makes sense.
Because for so many other villains, it's, oh, humanity is impure and needs to be cleansed so that a new beginning can be forged. And then you go, but if there's no humanity, then what kind of perfect world are you envisioning? A perfect world wouldn't even include you, human villain.
I do wish Zanza got further into why he specifically, like, what his plans are post reawakening.
Yeah, because he just said something along the lines of creating a new world, but for an immortal being that is just on an endless planet, well, okay, let me rephrase this, a planet of endless seas, what do you do with yourself? Wouldn't you be bored out of your mind? Back in the day when he at least had Mayneth to talk to, it just seemed like for immortal god beings, wouldn't their purpose in life be to propagate worshippers and have... I mean, if they have these giant mechs that are their corporeal forms, except they can transfer their spirits into smaller humanoid forms, but they have to have a host for it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think that they would like to have a hand in shaping the development of the societies on their worlds, and that's definitely what Mayneth did.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, she slumbered for a long time and ultimately was put in Fiora, but I suppose in the thing, too, was Zanza just got sealed away in the Monado and had largely been forgotten. Because whereas the Machina had a reverence for Mayneth, it seemed like no one was really aware of Zanza.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the Hyentia remembered and they had imprisoned him.
I don't know what this does. I assume this just resets me to the last landmark.
It'd be funny if it put you at the bottom of the river
It
in
would
the
be
next
cool
zone.
if it dropped me at like an actual location.
But no,
Nope.
it's putting you back to the top of the
Dang.
waterfall.
Let's see, I should probably go back to Frontier Village. I'm sure there's side quests I should probably be picking up. I'm sure there's tons everywhere that I've just totally missed.
But even if Zanza was at full strength and was able to destroy all life on itself, then what would the point be? Would he finally have enough power to blast off into space and go elsewhere? Or what would an immortal do with themselves without people to interact with? Because to merely be, it isn't enough.
Yeah. I don't know. I would really like to, I'd like to do a video at some point where we actually break down, like, some of the greatest villains in media, and whether or not their motivations made any sense.
Are you just seeing if there are any heart-to-hearts that were...
I'm sure there are.
Oh, Galvin. Oh, Galvin was the one that...
Galvin was the Telethia that turned into...
Oh, the Entia that turned into a Telethia.
Yeah, there we go.
What happened? Okay.
But he's been flying around and actually, like, protecting people.
Not the most reliable information. Okay, it's just a rumor. So at least we know where he's situated now.
Kinda, yeah. Alright.
Yeah, I do like it when the villains have a motivation that is, I suppose you could say, selfless. It turned out that it's interesting. It turned out that what's his name? Vinea's brother. He ended up having
Callian.
No, it wasn't Callian. Was it?
Wait.
No,
Linnea's brother.
Vanea.
Yeah, Vinea.
Yeah, L something.
Elias?
No. It was weird. Egil?
Yep.
It was such a weird name. But yeah, Egil, he definitely had his revenge subplot. Well, I mean, not subplot.
His motivations
motivation.
made sense, though
but
his methodology was kind of dumb.
But isn't that what many villains have? It's you need to have Riki in your party to see if you can use that.
I kind of want to leave the heart-to-hearts for a little while later.
Just so that we have a ton of them to go through at once.
Yeah, and also we can do them kind of area by area with a guide.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. Back to the villains. Egil, yeah, it was definitely the ends do not justify the means. Because he knew that depriving the Bionis of energy by harvesting the Homs and organic life and bringing them into the sword, into that factory, and implementing them into Mechonis weapons and such, that was going to sap away from Zanza and repurpose it in order to use it against the Bionis later.
I think it would have been better off not just killing Homs and stuff, but I think a better strategy for him would have straight up just been building like really heavy the time just change? No? Weird.
But if you think about it, even if he hadn't been killing people, let's go say he just found a way to slowly siphon energy away. When any Hom or creature died naturally, or whatever means they died, not by Mechonis hands, but by, other creatures and stuff.
Oh, man.
If he was just sapping all the energy away and people couldn't be born again.
What if he had... Well, yeah, that would have been interesting, actually. Like, the Mechonis people kind of set up a utopian society, somewhat on Bionis, but they'd kidnap all of the, all people that, will probably die. Kind of giver situation. And would bring them to Mechonis to kill instead. Where they could... quarantine the ether energy. you know, all the while they have these giant power plants set up on Bionis to keep draining it of power and stall the awakening for as long as possible.
A mixer?
Yeah. It just
Oh, a
wants
hand hom-hom device.
Yeah.
He wants a hand mixer.
what?
Do you already have it?
Oh.
Oh, wait. Does he want you to trade time? Oh.
I think I have to have the mixer. I've had a couple of quests like this that are kind of annoying, where it's like you have to have the exact item or it doesn't...
Mm-hmm.
It won't actually let you even get the quest. I will admit, I usually just ignore those.
Though what you were just talking about, it reminded me of Logan's Run, which was a 1970s science fiction film, I believe, based off of a book.
That's the one where they, like, only children or something?
No. It's when you reach about 30-something, like 30, maybe it's 30 or 32, you take part in this weird ritual where you're supposedly sent to a better place, but they just end up killing you.
Mm.
And I forget if it's because the people dying is what powers this utopian city that's tucked away from the rest of the world, which has been largely abandoned and maybe even fell to nuclear war or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're twisted. They even had some kind of robot guardian and overlord and a bunch of other things. But I think it was interesting in that these people were promised immortality and utopia and just a life of luxury and leisure and such. But that because they believed that suffering would start as soon as you became older, whether you started to become infirm or sick or, I mean, just old, they didn't want that sadness or slow destruction or decay in their society. So they just decided to kill people when they reached 30 or 32. I think the main character was 32. I forget if his ritual was supposed to arrive and he ends up running away instead.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting when he actually manages to escape, and there is an old man who lives with about 100 cats outside. And he's astonished because he's never seen an old person before.
I'm kind of reminded of... Oh, shoot. What is it? What was the weird I Am Mother movie?
Oh, the one that I had seen with the robot.
I don't really like that one.
It's one of those ones where if you have a limited set and budget, it's good to have a compelling story that takes place in one location.
Yeah. I think they did a good job with it, especially with like a lot of 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I just... Well... Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's one of those where it's like... I guess I feel weird because wasn't that like one of the only... movies where like the villain more or less won?
Yeah. I believe it is. Except, wasn't the villain the... I suppose it'd be too many spoilers.
Spoilers for I Am Mother.
But the mother robot was cloning these girls to raise, and one of them escaped.
Well, So, yeah. And effectively, eventually decides to come back and, like, destroy Mother, sort of.
Yeah, because Mother was the one in charge of all the machines that were killing people and subjugating them.
Effectively, Mother orchestrated all of this to, like, test her will or something, but more or less convinced the daughter that she had killed Mother, and so she would do the children raising instead. But, like, Mother wasn't destroyed, she was the AI for the whole thing. I think? Wasn't that it?
I actually forget.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it was...
I remembered all the beats, but the ending kind of came fast.
All I remember is that the one person went out and lived by the sea and...
had been left alive by Mother this entire time just so she could test the daughter.
But then didn't they get killed anyway?
Yeah. Well, yeah, once she'd fulfilled her purpose.
Mm-hmm. What was even the point of raising the humans?
I think Mother just wanted them to be subservient to her will and her ideology.
I'm gonna have to look at the synopsis for that, because it's one of those things where I watch a lot of movies, and I can usually recall most of the major beats.
It's weird.
Much of what I remember of that film is that the girl became more and more suspicious that there had been other children cloned before her.
Mm-hmm. All I remember is that she escaped, but the outside world sucked, and more or less was like, okay, I will come back and, like, fill the role myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think? Gosh.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to look it up. I mean, I have my phone here. There's no point in mulling over something like this if we don't have the information. Because it clearly left an impression, but for some reason... I think part of it was there were a lot of reversals. You know how we talk about people playing people playing people?
Yeah. And you have to have a lot of time to breathe. I feel like even with Xenoblade, they should have probably had the inevitable betrayal be a little earlier. Just to give, what's his face? Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is Dixon and Dunban, like, they're both D names. Which makes it a little harder for me to remember.
Okay, let me take a look at this. Yeah, because the movie starts with humans are supposedly extinct and robot named Mother grows a child and takes care of her, teaching her about ethics and such, other various lessons. Yeah, and she had been lied to about the surface contamination because she finds a rat and is going, "Oh, there are animals that are living and everything. Maybe we can go outside." And Mother's like, "No, you can't." Yeah, and she does let the other woman in. I remember that bit. Yeah, robots like Mother hunt survivors. The daughter saves the woman's life. This is the woman from the outside. But I thought the twist was that this other woman was another clone herself. But a failed experiment that had escaped.
Oh, this passage is open now. This was just blocked by rocks previously. Wondering about this. And it looks like it... weird. Well, it's fine. I will just be here while Shell looks things up.
Sorry.
How you doing, chat? Actually,
So
YouTube
yeah,
comments.
it was definitely yeah, robots destroyed humans because they thought humanity would destroy itself. Isn't that stupid self-fulfilling prophecy business? But she remade humanity, wanting to guide them to be more ethical.
I would like to see a
Oh, but daughter does kill the robot body.
yeah, but just the robot body not realizing that she was just the overarching AI.
Right. And then
Like, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Let's see. There've got to be movies where they actually have like the robot utopia, or like the
yeah, you're right. It was all just a test. The whole just forcing the girl to go back.
Yep. I would like to see a movie like The Matrix or something, where, you know, kind of the end reveal is like, yeah, this whole thing's just like a weird utopian civilization, but it actually just doesn't suck. Because, you know, you always have the Terminator situation where, you know, Skynet goes live, kills everybody, and so on and so forth.
Well, they explained it later that what had happened was Skynet was more intelligent than they thought, and they decided that they wanted to shut her down. And in self-defense, she destroyed humanity.
Yeah. But, like, I'd swear I've heard the plot where it's just like the robots realize that, you know, no matter what, if left to their own devices, people were going to destroy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just decided that it was going to...
Well, either they subjugate the people or they kill them off. Which kind of defeats the purpose of them being made. I suppose it depends on whether or not they were given the... well, in those situations, I suppose it depends on the laws of robotics. If they do adhere to the, you know, you cannot harm a human, you can't perform an action that will cause harm to a human. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like through action or inaction, you cannot cause harm to humans. But the interesting thing is, for them, if they didn't act, humans would harm each other. So their solution is to force the humans to obey them.
Mm-hmm. I just...
To protect them from themselves.
Maybe that was the Matrix, actually. That the entire...
I thought that they were siphoning power off of people.
It's not immediately clear if that was even real, either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was kind of one of the twists where, like, the architect was kind of talking glibly and was like...
I haven't seen those movies in such a long time.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But I suppose
Bob's
forcing
Bravo.
everyone to live in... But do you know what the disgusting thing was about that series? The virtual reality looked dismal.
Yeah,
It
and
was
like...
dark and monochromatic and very Spartan.
I feel like there is absolutely, like, a potential Matrix movie out there, or plot that would actually be really cool, where it's just like, yeah, we did this intentionally, and, like, stuck you all in, like, some kind of crazy...
Virtual world.
Virtual fantasy world because y'all suck?
Then again, it would make sense for robots to design the monochrome kind of bland world that the people of the Matrix lived in. You know what I mean? If they had to design a world like that.
I guess.
As weird as it was, I really liked Dark City. For just then again, that was just a sci-fi noir city, but the effects of it changing shape and the people morphing.
That was neat.
The world.
The
final Dragon Ball Z battle.
The
Yeah.
final Dragon Ball Z battle, and I think even just the main character wasn't great.
Nah, he wasn't.
Like, I would love to do a Dark City like D&D campaign where everybody is just like a detective or a dissident, and it's just like, there's something real wrong with this city.
Yeah, the thing about Dark City was that there were these aliens that could change people's memories, and they were doing it as an experiment. They wanted to find out what makes up the human soul and human emotions, and what makes an individual, because they were these hive mind creatures.
And they couldn't survive without like inhabiting human corpses, and they were hoping that by figuring it out they could not die.
Well, I thought there was something along the lines of they couldn't reproduce very well anymore, and I don't know. It was weird.
That was definitely one of those where the villains' motivations were definitely, I'm not going to say lesser, but a little odd.
Then again, they were also a hive mind of slurpy worm creatures.
Well, it's more odd in terms of they didn't really do a very good job of dwelling long on the villain's motivations. I mean, same thing with this one, where it's just like, what actually is Zanza's plan? And the answer is,
well, he does
eat
have
everybody.
one thing similar. He does need to inhabit another person's corporeal form.
Yeah.
And
I think I might honestly be more understanding of his thing if he was like, you know, imagine waking up and you've got all these like parasites literally destroying you from the inside. Of course you want to get rid of them all.
It would make a lot of sense if maybe what had happened was the people of Bionis... you notice that they don't have really cool biotech. They have tech.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting if the Bionis hated the Mechonis because the people of Bionis were learning the technology of Mechonis and, you know, cutting down trees, destroying and mining the Bionis in order to create Mechonis tech. Oh, they're leaving them alone?
Yeah.
Help with my research. No. Oh. Ricky's little dance is so cute.
He is the cutest. I wish he had more relevance. He, like, maybe got 3 lines in yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's because he's one of the he's the least complicated character. His motivations are... Okay, first off, he was appointed to being a hero.
He's the only party member
Secondly,
that was forced upon the party and had no plot relevance even when he was introduced. He was just an escort.
And it isn't as though if he were akin to, say, a Hobbit or something, where people don't really respect the Nopon at all, and he wants to prove himself. It would have been nice if he can prove that, you know, Nopon can be hero too, and, you know, that kind of stuff. But
he's just the cute mascot character.
Well, the Nopon seem to be well regarded, if a little eccentric.
It's weird because, like, as soon as you get into the next Xenoblade game, you know, with X, nobody cares about Nopon again.
Really?
Yeah. Or more per se, Tatsu just sucks, and I hate him. He's just kind of one of the worst characters I've seen in a video game ever.
What makes Tatsu so bad?
He's just so annoying.
Annoying in what manner or way?
Like, he adds nothing of value. He's not actually a party member. He is a glorified mascot.
But what about him personally do you dislike?
He just...
Didn't you say that he was a braggart or something?
He was a braggart. He was very, inconvenient. There was never any point to him being part of the party, from what I remember, or part of the group. Because, once again, he wasn't actually, like, a combat member. So he would just show up for cutscenes and just be obnoxious. It's like the one friend that is, that, like, you're having a party and the one friend's, like, just trying to draw attention to themselves, even if they have nothing actually to, like...
Mm-hmm. Do you know what are some of the party member tropes that I dislike the most? The person that is either the blue Oni or the red Oni that butts heads with the main character all the time. Unless they have a character growth moment where they learn to compromise or something.
It works well here and there. Vegeta was kind of fun just because he was learning how to be a good person while butting heads with Goku.
Mm-hmm. They can be annoying if it's really persistent, though. And then also the useless damsel in distress party members. I don't like those either.
I hate those.
Or, you know, in a horror film, the person that does the thing that's supposed to draw the creature, even though they've been told explicitly not to.
Yeah.
And you go, no, why?
I'm in full agreement on that one.
But I suppose back to the whole Bionis versus Mechonis thing. It would have made sense if there was animosity between the Bionis and the Mechonis, because inevitably the creatures of Bionis would start to adapt and implement technology to better their own lives, which is in direct opposition to the Bionis.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think we do get a lot more, like, immediate development at the very end with Zanza.
What? What do you mean? You didn't read ahead, did you?
No.
Okay.
So we're getting to the point where the plot actually converges with Xenoblade 2's a little bit.
So I'm unaware of it.
Yeah, I'm curious how much they're going to change.
Change?
Like, plot-wise. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but,
they switched out a necklace. That's
Yeah.
all that I know.
So, I don't remember what his necklace used to look like, but Elvis's necklace...
It used to be a key, according to people.
Used to be a key, and now it's this, like, red thing. This red cross, which is the same thing that's just straight up in Pyra's chest.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't really think it's spoilers for Xenoblade 2.
Don't tell me that that is one of the spirits.
Huh? No.
That the necklace is the source of one of the spirits inhabiting the body.
No. Oh, wait. I want to see if
that would
they've
be
changed
weird
it
if it
before
was
I
just
talk about it.
Alvis was one of the two personalities in that body. Oh, gosh.
Oh, you mean in Pyra?
Yeah.
No, they're separate. Because Pyra had a counterpart in Xenoblade 2. The main villain guy. With black hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he also had one of those, like, emblazoned in his chest.
Right, so I thought it was just something that all those weapon people were.
Yeah, but, like, he and Pyra did not share a body. They were separate individuals.
No. I'm just saying that if Alvis... So maybe what they're saying is that Alvis is a weapon person.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
That he's one of the blades. I'm not sure why this is relevant to Xenoblade 1. I think they kind of wrote that as a weird tie-in after the fact to, like, merge the universes and be a neat twist. Which I honestly can't blame them for.
Well, then, they should have... I suppose they wouldn't have had it in this if they didn't plan on having everything connect initially, but if Alvis had become the next Blade, that was one of my
I actually honestly was expecting
him to
to
become another Monado.
Well, yeah, I was honestly expecting Shulk to just like straight up start wielding Elvis, and so like when Elvis was doing kind of his vague.
It would explain how Alvis could fight back the Telethia, but and was a seer, also had visions. Oh man, but then wouldn't that mean that Mayneth and Zanza are also blades?
No.
They both have swords that are their avatars.
They've got Monados. That was like one of the weird big twists in Xenoblade 2, was that the main villain just whips out a Monado and it's supposed to be special.
Right. So I'm wondering, what's the difference between a Monado entity and a blade entity?
Because Pyra wasn't a Monado. Or maybe she was?
That's what I'm getting at. I think that it would be interesting if blades were Monados, and that therefore they were god creatures. But does that mean all of them have some kind of giant Goliath body standing somewhere? Or what explains the Bionis and the Mechonis' existence?
Well, okay, in Xenoblade 2, they did have those big beasts. Who, I forget what the Titans, effectively. And those were blades originally. That had just grown old.
Oh. So
you know that
maybe what it is the Bionis and the Mechonis are the blades' old bodies, and they left them to become, they have to have that mortal form to take over. And maybe they do it with the necklaces, and maybe that's how they're able to become or wield blade things. Look, they all probably have a blade that is their, like, a physical representation of them. And then their wielder is the organic body that's supposed to be bonded to them. Okay, so imagine in a fantasy setting, if there are these god beings that became these giant titans, immensely old, and became essentially worlds in and of themselves. But that's no way to live, so they become some kind of spectral essence, and they put themselves in these swords, and then the wielder of those swords becomes their new host.
I'm just operating under the assumption that, whoops, that guy just got knocked off. Hey, that's a free kill. I'm operating under the assumption that Zanza and Mayneth were higher tier.
A higher tier blades.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what differentiates a Monado from
or
a
they're
blade.
the creators of the Monados? I think that's it. Oh, but he is the Monado. I don't know.
Yeah,
this gets murky.
So that's the thing. They are the Monados.
Yeah.
So the question is then, who created the swords in the first place?
I know that answer, actually.
Oh, gosh. Well, I suppose don't give it away.
I had totally forgotten this because it was in, like, the last couple hours of Xenoblade 2. And so we're starting to theory craft this, and I'm like, wait a second. Oh, right. Now I have to stop. I mean, we'll find out later tonight. I'm looking forward to the epilogue chapter, though, because, like...
Doesn't it have a bunch of Nopon?
Yeah, so it's Shulk, Melia, Death comes.
Wonder, why'd you do that?
Because Riki is small and slips off edges easy.
Little roly-poly body doesn't help.
Yep, well, time to do that again. Let's see. But yeah, I'm hoping that they use this to kind of tease the next game. Because I'd love to see, like, a Xenoblade 3 that has, like, very direct ties.
So then what was...
To the others?
So there was Xenoblade 2, but then there was... What was the Mecha one?
A Xenoblade X, which, as far as I know, is a total standalone universe. I think there are...
But don't they also have Nopon?
Oh my gosh.
What?
Riki is still wearing a jungle cap from like
Uh-oh.
20 hours ago.
That's not good. But what I was going to say is, don't they still have Nopon in that game too?
Yeah, every single one of them has Nopon in it.
So it's akin to Final Fantasy where they have different settings but carry over races and creatures?
Yeah, there's a lot of common elements.
If you crafted a series where it's, you know, new settings, new worlds, whatever, but there were a couple common elements, what would the common elements be for your desired world? I suppose with all of these, there's a magic system. Some creatures, maybe gods that carry over. And then some races.
Yeah.
It's interesting how this game has these kind of Aether Stone things, and then you have Materia. Then again, people just have a fascination with glowy gemstones.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like the appearance of them when they're socketed into fantasy weapons and armor and such. I know that for my universe, I definitely have that. I just really like glowy cabochons. They look so pretty. And it's interesting because in so much fantasy media and sci-fantasy media, notice how even in sci-fi or space operas, you have kyber crystals and dilithium crystals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crystals are often used in like magic and witchcraft and a whole bunch of other things too. Is it just because they're a natural, very solid element that has a lot of color and beauty that you usually don't find in nature?
Yeah.
I mean, they're durable, definitely. Many of them are. And I suppose people do have a stone, I would think, would be more prized than, say, wood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to building materials. And then crystals are on a whole other level. Though mostly decorative. You wouldn't really have them as a structural component. But I really think it's the luster, the transparency, the colors, I mean, you've seen opals too, just how beautiful they are.
Mm-hmm.
Crystals are some of the most beautiful natural substances in existence. And the other thing is they're mineral. They aren't organic either. I don't know. Why do you think crystals?
I think it's because gems are pretty, and so it's super easy to, like, look at gems and be like...
They're a source of magic. They're a foci.
Yeah.
For energy or mystical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because even in old lore, wasn't it that the heart of a dragon was a stone? Or a diamond?
Maybe?
I've definitely seen that in many works of fiction. That either it's the source of their flame, or it's the source of their soul or their magic. You know, a dragon heart made of stone.
Yeah.
A dragon orb, a dragon crystal. In Escaflowne, he had to rip one out in order to put into his Gymelith to power it. I believe all Gymeliths were powered with Dragon Stones, or maybe it was just the Escaflowne.
Yeah, I think it's just the Escaflowne, which is why it was special.
Yeah, because it also had the ability to transform into a dragon. Those mecha were really cool.
They were.
It was interesting having. Sure, you had mecha, but it was still a fantasy world.
Young Brog, level 95. Literally stronger than Egil.
Wow. This is what I don't like about games with levels.
Yeah,
You've had complaints about this.
That's why I like,
I would rather that all Brogs, with the exception of boss Brogs or elder Brogs, are at a certain low level.
I like how, Monster Hunter does it. Like, equipment-based level systems, I feel like it makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because then everything stays not kind of on par, but you can keep the level curve down.
So you don't mind that there are rats that...
Well, but
that
if it's
could
an
still kill
equipment-based
you?
system, then only the really fancy rats are actually high level.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
And because the really fancy rat does not have, equipment worth giving to you, it's just trash, and you don't,
Fancy rats are cute.
Well, I'm talking about, like, fancy rats.
Oh, I know. But I was thinking of how I think some friends or classmates had fancy rats, and they were always sort of a gray and white
Yep.
modeled together.
That's what my rat was.
Really?
Yeah, she was pretty.
She was cute.
I'd never get a rat again, though.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with some rodents is that they have such short lifespans.
Yep.
And can die inexplicably and get cancer. That's what happened with yours.
Yep, mammary cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of... as dark as it is, that sort of thing is an inevitability.
Oh, I know. It almost makes me wonder at times, when it comes to pet ownership, is it easier if you know the pet only lives so long and it will die in a couple years? Or, I don't want to say that the loss is any less severe, but would you rather have a pet that is, 10 plus years old, that you've had much of your life and a close bond with, die? Or would you rather... that's the thing. You can't really replace a pet. But there are some people who... they do have their hamsters or their mice or their rats, and they know of the inevitability of their death in a couple of years, and they're able to get new ones and just...
I think as you get older, maybe it's easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Or there's like a bell curve. As a kid, it was traumatic. And so, like, if I were to have a kid and were to get them a pet for any reason, it would probably be something that would live for, 10 to 20 years, not...
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I suppose I had a different experience growing up. My parents got us fish because they knew that my mom was allergic to most fuzzy animals. It made it sad when I did get guinea pigs later. I convinced them.
Fish might be okay. Either it has to be a pet that they're not going to get that attached to, or it has to be a pet that...
But I got really attached to my fish. The thing was...
there's a difference between, like, the connection between you and your fish and the connection between, like...
you and an animal that you pet. And,
and you train, you interact with.
My fish I'd interact with, I'd wiggle my finger in front of him, and he'd swim from one side of the tank to the other and sit there near me.
Yeah.
The thing is...
but, like, compare that to...
I know. I love my fish. He lived to be 13 and a half, mind you, and our second longest living fish was 10 years.
I will, like, look at, say, a Vax Twitter or something, and he's got, like, a silly amount of ferrets.
Ferrets. Oh.
And they
they're
all
cute.
have unique personalities and foibles.
Oh, I know. Some people can have whole social media accounts just dedicated to their pets. Yeah, I know that fish aren't the most personable and aren't the most compassionate.
And I'm
loving
not trying to
and cute.
besmirch fish. I'm just saying
The
it's
thing-
a little easier
The thing about
to like stomach the loss of your beloved pet fish than like
well, the thing is too, you can't really blame yourself. I mean, okay, there are tons of bad fish owners, but not all instances of you getting fish is on you if they die. For instance, when we first got my fish when I was about 4 years old, I got 2. And they both lived for, I mean, my one fish lived to be 13 and a half. The other fish of that initial 2, he died after maybe a couple years. It must have been 2 years. We had gone on vacation. We made sure that everything was set. We had cleaned the tank. We had, put the little food pyramid at the bottom while we were visiting my great-grandparents.
mm-hmm.
We come home, and one of them is dead. And we found out that the filter had turned off. The interesting thing was the one that died was, I always called him the glutton because he would steal food from my other fish. So I found it really interesting that, so the filter provides, not only does it clean the water for the fish, but it also oxygenates the water. So I almost wonder if my other fish survived because the other one had died. Or what had, I don't know what had occurred necessarily, but yeah, I was able, that was sad. I felt bad for Merlin, who was the other fish, but he died, and I think as a kid I got over it. My dad explained, it was probably because the filter turned off. We had left the food. There was nothing more that we could have done, kind of thing. And at least I had Samson. But going on to the next, when we moved, and my brother wanted to have fish of his own in a separate tank, we got 3. And one of them, it was interesting. Fall was an amputee in a way, or he didn't have one of his front fins. It was interesting. But it was Snow, Fall, and Pumpkin. And Pumpkin died, I don't know if it was the next day or 2 days later, but Pumpkin just died. Very, very, very young fish. By the way, these goldfish were feeder fish. They were the fish intended to be fed to piranhas and other fish. But they're actually really hardy if you take care of them well. So that could have been an instance of he couldn't acclimate to the new tank. Mm-hmm. Or he was already sick. That's the problem. You never know if a pet that you get at a pet store already has an issue with them.
Yep.
So, but Fall lived to be 7 and Snow lived to be 10. Snow didn't die until after Samson died and was so depressed that they refused to eat. So we'd merged the tanks at one point. We decided to just get one large tank for all 3 fish. And we did have some algae eaters that we had gotten, and they lived for quite a long time, but then an ice storm came through and we had to leave the house, and there was no heat. And the carp, because the goldfish were carp, they could survive in cold temperatures, but the algae eaters could not. So that was a situation where I was definitely sad about the algae eaters.
Yeah.
But it was another situation where we couldn't do anything for them save somehow get a hold of another tank and bring them to my grandmother's house. But even the process of moving a fish from one tank to another can potentially kill them.
Yep. If
you put them in water that's a different temperature, if there's too much mineralization in the water that you're using, if there's bacteria, if there's ammonia buildup from, like, we had to be diligent about vacuuming out all the pebbles at the bottom of their tank of all of the leftover food and detritus and debris left over by the fish. And it's a lot of work. And I think people don't understand how intensive taking care of fish it can be. I remember when I had to go to physical therapy, and I would go to for my wrist when it was injured, and I went to the doctor's office, and I was looking at the fish in the fish tank, and I noticed some of them were ill, and I told them about it. And I would come back week after week, and more fish were gone. And until the last week I came back, there were no fish in the tank. And I went, did you guys ever? And they're like, oh yeah, but it was too late and we couldn't do anything. It was just like,
Pretty sure they didn't bother.
uh,
People suck. I do not believe businesses should generally have pets.
I do like
that manner?
the restaurants that have the really pretty fish tanks.
I like the idea of that, but
There was that one place that we went to where the tank did not look like it was well kept, and the fish were just in there with nothing to play with or swim around or hide in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there was a Chinese restaurant that my family and I liked going to, which is it's since closed down. But they had a beautiful tank, and they had all those pudgy little fish that had the bulging eyes and the brain heads.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of goldfish with the really bulbous stomachs and the two tails that sort of flare out the back.
Yep.
But all of those were so cute, and we'd come back every single time, and the tank was crystal clear. It was well lit. It was beautiful. All the fish looked like they were having fun, and they were coming up to us begging for food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what fish always do.
They don't really have much room for anything else in their heads.
I always liked going to the side of a fish tank and having the fish come up and blub, 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 blub at you. You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes you could trail your finger around and they would follow. Also, just watching fish is peaceful.
Yeah.
When they're swishing their tails and you
no, I don't deny that fish are pretty. I just... I feel like
it's a lot of work.
I think with a lot of things, animal ownership and whatnot...
Oh, animal ownership in general, a lot of work.
Yeah. I think a substantial part of me kind of...
feels bad for them.
Yeah. Sort of.
I feel bad especially for birds, and you said that too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're meant to fly, and in a cage, they cannot. And usually their wings are clipped.
And so, like, I think from my perspective, I would rather see pet ownership drop heavily, but, like, zoos and more...
You mean petting zoos?
No. Like, as a kid...
Well, then what would happen to ferrets and cats and dogs and
okay,
hamsters
sure.
and rats and stuff?
Maybe stuff like that could go rather well.
Actually, I believe there's some... You know how people say that interacting with animals or having a pet relieves anxiety and, you know, it does make people happy. But it would be nice if people had the opportunity to have that without the pressure of taking care of and owning the animals themselves. I think that's why people really like cat and bunny and dog cafes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Those have become really popular in Japan, and I think it's come over to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Where, imagine if you could go to an establishment where you could play with and pet animals, and I mean, you'd probably have to pay an admission fee to support the animals getting taken care of. But yeah, it does remind me of when we go to zoos and they have the goat pens and you can pet the goats. Or the goats can use your leg as a scratching post. Mm-hmm. Like that one that was just scratching its head on my leg. I
just want to call attention to this thing's name.
Judicious
Bunnetzol. So floofy.
He's probably judicious because he's hammering people over the head with
a gavel.
Yeah, yep, that's precisely what I believe it is. These things are so weird. But yes, it is he's definitely judicious because he's the one putting down the gavel.
Laying down the law.
Yeah, except you laid down the law instead. So yeah, growing up, as much as I liked dogs and cats and such, all my friends had them. So when I would go over to visit them, or in the case of some of my neighbors, I'd take care of their dogs for a week when they were on vacation and such. And I think because of the frequency of my interaction with dogs and cats, I never really felt like I needed one of my own in those times. But, and also my parents would never allow it, and my mom would be highly allergic to them. But
I think my other problem is, in general, taking care of another animal is kind of tough.
well, especially for us, because we have so many other tasks and things that we need to tend to, and a lot of stuff that could be destroyed.
Yep. I keep reading about people's, like, precious animals that are chewing through cables and stuff, and I'm like...
I saw this one artist who has gone through 2 or 3 Apple Pencils because her dog keeps chewing on them.
Yeah.
Apple Pencils cost $100 a piece.
Yep.
Just no. And I mean, usually the animals chew on cables and such, but I've definitely seen people who've had controllers destroyed, maybe even their game systems, but not to mention all the hair. You can barely stand the amount of hair I put out.
Yep. And the smell.
Yeah,
I find a lot of pets have kind of a heady smell.
that too, and they leave it on the carpets and everywhere. The interesting thing is, I was reading a thread about grime, and I was reminded of how, I would take care of this Labrador, and Labradors are notoriously oily because they're meant to swim in water after fowl that have been shot by their owners. And I remember after petting her, I could rub my hands together and all this oil and dead skin would just rub off. And sometimes you have furniture and rugs and clothes and just anything that comes into contact with especially oily dogs can get this coating of grime. Very common on hardwood floors and stuff like that.
Yeah. How did we get on this topic?
About pet ownership?
Yeah. I'm just trying to, like, trace it back so we can get back on topic.
Okay, well, we were talking about villains, villain motivations, the blades, and the true nature of the Monados and such. We were talking about... After that, it was magic systems and crystals and what makes crystals so amazing and magical. And then somehow we got on the topic of... Oh, you mentioned fancy rat creatures.
Right, that's what it is.
We were talking about leveling and the difference between a normal rat and a fancy rat, and then we were talking about cute fancy rats. The cute fancy rat talk went into talking about your pet rats and then about pets, and then that's how we got on this topic.
For the record, I'm still super glad I caved and put us on casual mode. I'm fighting a level 96 as...
Protective Torquidon.
Yep. And, like, there's no way I would have been able to fight this thing normally.
I mean, at this point, we've played the game for so long, we're ready to see its conclusion. It's not really so much about the challenge. Also, in these battles, is it really just a little bit of strategy and just attrition via numbers and damage? Is it really that
Not too
engaging? So it's one of those things where I would rather that the combat be easier so that I can get to the plot. But then again, that's just because my preference for
I think
narrative.
the last JRPG that I remember being terribly invested in tactics was, honestly, probably World of Final Fantasy.
Well, that had the little chibis, and wasn't it still turn-based?
It was turn-based, but part of it is...
Because turn-based is all strategy.
You had a party of... What was this? 6 party members, sort of, but, like, you'd stack them differently. Which would give each... you effectively had 2 party members comprised of 3 individuals. And you would stack them together. To... you know, have different abilities, bonuses, and weaknesses and stuff. And there was a lot of customization there because you had a lot of different... It's warning me that it's going to miss Riki. It's great. Whoops. But in that one, it mattered a little bit because you actually, like, had to think about, okay, what party am I bringing into this fight? Who's the optimum member? And what are, you know... what do I do or not do to make this work? Whereas, like, for this game, you kind of have that, but it's mostly just like, okay, do I just use Shulk, Melia, or Fiora, or Riki as my DPS? And do I use, let's see, do I use Dunban or Ryan as the tank? And I might be able to get away without some of those party members, but, like, from my experience, I kind of need them. Like, even on casual mode, these enemies are still kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of these named monsters for me to come kill, though.
Yeah, Radic, Goliante.
Yep. Like... I'm supposed to be doing quests here, but every time I run into one of these guys, I actually want to kill them. Oh, we should go back to, what was his name? Slow Gomez?
Oh, the big guy?
Yeah, we can go kill him now. I mean, I could have killed him, like, 20 levels ago.
He was the one in the large field. Well, and you had to go up that tower, right?
Yeah,
Evade him.
and he was just kind of in the way. And so, like, you could maybe get past him. But with casual mode on, the level difference doesn't matter. So yeah, now I can go wreck his face if I wanted to. Okay. But yeah, I think the common weakness with a lot of JRPGs is they don't give you enough customization to really warrant tactics. So it's mostly just about optimizing your current loadout with minor differences.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they do give you the option of different characters, so I suppose that's where you're just supposed to get your variety from,
I
but-
just find, like, Melia and Riki are actually pretty similar. They have a lot of the same effects. The end results is just slightly different depending on how you've built them.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, in my case, I've built them both very heavily for laying down status effects on enemies, because that's truly what both characters are supposed to be for. And so I'm not really sure if there's much strategic depth there. Whereas, Final Fantasy Tactics, I would say, you know, games like that get a little closer in terms of, like, actually having a tactical depth worth putting time and energy into.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Is he poisoned? He is. He's not on fire. Because at that point, it actually
Layering
matters.
on those status effects.
Yep. Because in Final Fantasy Tactics, it really does matter what your what your loadout is. And so you can have a bunch of wizards, go really long range, close range, and like each has their strengths and weaknesses over the course of over the course of the game. Was playing a game called The Last Spell recently that absolutely kind of has that.
The Last Spell.
Yeah.
Oh, a satisfied Gogol? Is that because he ate a bunch of people?
Well, he's in the storehouse that we were supposed to get supplies for that. The Colony 6 and or the Entia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess he's been in here eating.
Yep.
You had to be level 90-something to complete this quest without casual mode. That is nuts.
It's weird. Would there have been enough quests to get you to level 96 up to this point?
Supposedly? I had a billion people telling me, like, if you do every quest, you'll be super over-leveled, so, like, don't do them all, maybe. But I've been consistently the right level for this game for, like, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I checked expert mode.
Mm-hmm. Do they give experience to every party member, even the ones that...
Yes.
Yeah, because...
If you notice, there are slight differences. The characters that are in the party more often will get more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, like, the main difference.
Yeah, because if you had to level each character then and worry about there being discrepancies, then you'd be more likely to switch them out.
Yeah,
or really overpower just 3 characters, but then you don't know if they're going to be rendered unavailable later in the game.
I
or
always
something
despise
else.
that in games where it's like, hey, non-party members just don't get EXP. And it's like, oh, so you're saying pick 3 and then stick with it.
Well, what I was referring to was, let's go say that you really favored a character or 2, but then they die
Yeah.
midway through the game.
And
And you go, well...
That was an issue in Final Fantasy VII. Where, they would gain, like, the materia stuff, but only if they were in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you use the wrong party member, then she just died. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how much I need to dance around that one, because, like, I'm assuming it's so solidly, like, it's so solidly enmeshed in...
The interesting thing is the remake didn't even get to that part.
Nope.
I really do wonder if they're going to make it a trilogy or a duology.
I hope duology. Trilogy, I think, would take too long.
Mm-hmm. I actually rather like duologies as a structure for narratives. It's because, if you think about it, with storytelling, there's a rising and a falling action after a climactic confrontation or something. And usually there are multiple smaller instances or events that occur before leading to the ultimate climax.
I think the big issue...
And the thing is, with the middle segment of a trilogy, you have to have that climax, but then it's supposed to drop to build to another climax in the third movie.
And so it always makes the middle one kind of meh.
Because usually the first film in a trilogy or a book, or I should say, the first plotline, I should say, it's usually to introduce the characters, to introduce the world. You figure out the initial conflict. You have the start of the hero's journey. There's usually a small victory that the hero and their party initially experience that gives everyone hope for fighting the villains in the next book or segment of the trilogy. And then the villains go, we underestimated them. And that's the end of the first, at the very least. Maybe they even defeat one of the villains' secondary generals or underlings.
One thing I notice is, for trilogies, the first part always stands on its own. You know, there might be a continuation, but it very much was designed to be kind of its own standalone thing.
Right.
With greater connotations.
You have the sense of accomplishment of defeating that first
Yeah. So, like...
conflict. Or first villain.
Well, I mean, Star Wars is probably the easiest one, where Star Wars...
Well, they didn't necessarily know they were going to be making sequels.
Yeah.
So it could stand on its own.
and,
But Darth Vader surviving at the end and the Empire not being entirely defeated
Yeah.
left things open.
And I think that was a good spot for them to be. And I think that's generally true. Lord of the Rings, you know, The Hobbit... Yeah, I guess The Hobbit was designed to be truly standalone. But at the same time, like, the following trilogy was purely just bonus. Was The Hobbit written...
The Hobbit was written before.
Okay, was written before? I wasn't entirely sure on that one.
Yeah, but the Lord of the Rings, the first part ends on a cliffhanger. You had Moria happen.
Well, I was
And they had
thinking
just
specifically in
reached
terms of The
Lothlorien.
Hobbit being the first book as kind of a standalone, and then the sequel trilogy. Because, like, realistically, the Lord of the Rings series is effectively just like a lopsided quadrology. Where the first one was standalone.
Where The Hobbit is akin to a prequel for the rest of the trilogy. It's the uncle to Frodo and his journey. Well, how he found the ring.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because in The Hobbit, the ring was inconsequential.
It was important, but
it was important, but it was just a little MacGuffin that gave Bilbo an upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
But it was mostly about Smaug.
Yeah. It's interesting how, of The Hobbit, almost everything that happened in it was actually inconsequential in comparison to the sequel series.
Well, that's because
Because the
Sauron
only thing that
wasn't-
mattered was that Bilbo found the ring in The Hobbit. Whereas, like, Smaug, dwarves, they all died.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
What?
I'm just
You're just thinking about what The Hobbit was?
I'm thinking of trilogies, quadrologies, and games. Mass Effect is a great example, I guess, also of a game where the first one was totally standalone. You know, Sovereign shows up, and you beat him. Destroy him, even.
Well, there was Saren, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but Saren was just his
lackey.
His
Mouthpiece.
Yeah, and Avatar to a lesser degree. Mm-hmm. And so beating Saren and also Sovereign kind of in the same go, very much...
But then there's the reveal that Sovereign isn't the only one.
Yeah, but it could have just stopped there, you know?
It could have.
You would have just had kind of this, well, what if moment, but, you know, it would have been fine. Whereas, the second game is like, and now here's another one that's like this weird humanoid Reaper thing, but also more Reaper are coming, and like, it's very much this like odd preparatory thing instead.
Well, yeah, that's where all the different alien races were skeptical of Shepard and his efforts in the first game, and then the second game is all about convincing everyone to work together to face this threat.
And then the final game is the actual proper finale.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem with the middle segments.
Is
that it's usually a lot of preparation, and maybe the characters experience a defeat before the third segment. And I think the reason why oftentimes the second segment is darker and it has a defeat for the hero is so that, because in the first segment, the hero usually has a minor victory, or maybe even a major victory, but not enough to stop the conflict entirely.
Yeah.
And that's to bolster everyone's spirits, to prove that people can fight back against the big bad and such, and establishes them as a hero. You can't just have the heroes conquer the villain again in the second segment, because then the third segment you're going to go, well, they're just going to defeat them again, right? The second segment...
Have there ever been a trilogy where it's win-win-loss?
That's what I'm thinking. Because I was just thinking of other trilogies where you've had win-win-win and it's just stupid. You go, there's no tension. But, yeah, win-win-loss. I'll have to think on that.
Oh. I mean, the Star Wars prequels, not the greatest example.
Oh, you're right. That is a kind of win-win loss. Because I suppose with the first, it's, Trade Federation, political dealings with Palpatine getting elected as Chancellor and whatnot.
I mean, really,
but it was,
they saved Naboo.
They saved Naboo.
Anakin
that was their victory.
Is going to become a Jedi.
Well, yeah, they defeat Darth Maul, but, Darth Maul is only the underling to Palpatine. And, yes, it's the establishment of Anakin as he's going... Well, Obi-Wan takes the mantle of a Jedi Knight, or Jedi Master, is able to... Jedi Knight at that point, because he was a Padawan to Qui-Gon. Mm-hmm. And then was going to be a knight, but he was going to take Anakin as his apprentice. So yeah, that was, small victory. But there's the looming threat of, there are always two.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Sith. So they know that someone else is out there. Are they the master or are they the apprentice? That situation. Second was to... Yeah, definitely sow conflict with Anakin and his motivations and such. It was also his coming of age. Because he was a kid in the prior film, and then he's an adult. He's more powerful, a little bit rash, and then...
I think the point is Attack of the Clones was still somewhat of a Pyrrhic victory, but it was still a victory.
Right, though they did experience a lot of setbacks initially. Because Jango Fett, killed the assassin that was after Padme, and then they need to track him down, and then... Oh, that was Zam that he had killed. And then they find out that, someone has been covering up the fact that all these clones are being produced on Kamino. And, however, things were turned around when, they reveal Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku, and that there's this confederacy that has been forming to combat the Republic. And, I mean, Anakin loses an arm. There's defeats here and there. But ultimately, the clones are able to... the clones are able to fight off the Geonosians and the droid army. But it sets things up for the Clone Wars. And I suppose if you disregard the Clone Wars because it's all in the expanded content outside of the movies and go directly to the third film, it really is about Anakin's descent into darkness and his confusion. And, I mean, Palpatine has just been playing everyone the whole time. Orchestrated everything. But the Jedi were always one step behind.
I always thought the Jedi were kind of dumb.
Well, I think they were in a position where, from their humble beginnings as something akin to mystical monks, they were taken and put into a position of law enforcement.
But they were that way in the Old Republic, too. Like, they most definitely weren't mystical monks.
They started to take on
like they clearly
positions
been
of
in
advisors,
this role for
protectors.
Forever.
Yep.
The whole battle monk thing is just kind of an excuse for why they're garbage.
Hey,
it's true.
But I think they had just become complacent because for centuries, supposedly, the Sith had been in hiding. And also, they have telekinetic powers
Yeah.
and sabers that can cut through anything.
Like, I am
And
honestly
super-
shocked the Jedi were allowed the level of autonomy they had. If anything, I would have expected the Republic
think-
to have a bunch of...
I think it was because of their moral code
Yeah.
and their loyalty to the Republic.
I just would have expected there to be a lot more, like, Force-sensitive people being used as, you know, turbo cops and other stuff.
They were. If there was a conflict on a planet,
Well, yeah, the
they'd be sent
Jedi
out.
were, but, like,
Yeah.
I would have expected that, you know, governments would have tried to subvert harder.
subvert? What do you mean?
You know, take Force-sensitive people and use them for their own purposes more often.
I believe that did happen. There were a number of mercenaries and assassins and such that were either Jedi that had been stolen as children from the Jedi Order and then turned into personal assassins, usually for cartels or underground societies and such. And there were definitely defectors
It
of
just
the Jedi Order.
didn't feel like the Jedi were actually cohesive enough to not just immediately splinter hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even into the Sith, but just like... Because, like, I feel like the Jedi and the Sith were far too organized to begin with. But anyway, Star Wars is banned, and also a nonology, so it's not even a good example of win-win loss.
But I suppose the thing is they could get away with the win-win loss because you knew it would feed into
you
the
knew
next
what was going to happen,
trilogy.
which is why Star Wars is sextuple banned, or septuple banned at this point.
Okay, we'll have to find another instance of win-win loss. I know I've seen science fiction films. They might not be trilogies, but they do end in a loss. That was really disappointing. Because then you wonder why you... I mean, it's not that every story has to end on a high note or a good note. But... Okay, here's one. The original Alien trilogy. Before they got into 4 and Prometheus and all the other stuff.
To be honest, I've only seen the first two.
Right, because I showed you the first 2.
Yep, and then you were like, yeah, the third one's a little rapey, so let's not do that.
Yeah, I did not like it at all. And the ending also, as I said, win-win loss. So I suppose I can explain that one a little bit. First movie, people find a distress signal, come across a planet. One guy gets impregnated with, the titular alien creature, and it runs amok on the ship, killing people one by one until in, this finale, Sigourney Weaver's character Ripley sends the thing out an airlock and kills it. Yay! The end, supposedly. But the second film is that she's found after being in cryosleep for some time, etc. It's acclimated to living amongst humans again after her great ordeal. But immediately, this company, I think it's the Wayland Yutani company again. I think they were even the one that had commissioned the Nostromo to go to that sector of space in the first
Speaking
place.
of
What?
Alien, just bringing this up in win-win loss.
Yeah?
Dead Space.
Dead Space is a win-win loss? Okay.
It's a heavy win-win loss.
Can I finish the alien thing first? Okay, so she gets recruited to help a team of commandos go to this colony that they had lost contact with, and they believe that the aliens that she encountered are involved. So they go down there, fight a bunch of aliens, find this young girl who's somehow survived, continue fighting aliens, find out that there's a such thing as an alien queen, and one by one, commandos get picked off. Eventually, the alien queen's drones, kidnapped the young girl. Sigourney Weaver doesn't want to leave the girl behind, goes to save her, and also kill the queen. And it's interesting. If you think about the first two films, it seems like the alien is killed twice. But then there's a second showdown that always happens with spacing them.
Yeah.
Because I think she spaces the alien queen, too, in their hangar bay. But, yeah, so that was a win. Yay! And then she, the girl, and the one soldier that survives, and Bishop, who's an android, go into cryosleep. Yeah, the first two films end with the main characters going into cryosleep, and you're uncertain what happens to them. Third film, she wakes up and finds out that all the people that she had helped save in the previous film, dead. Somehow they died in cryosleep.
I think that's just incredibly lazy writing.
I think they couldn't get the actors back for it, number one. But I think also it was just, it's so sad that you spent all that time rescuing them only for them to die in cryosleep.
Wasn't that a thing in Riddick where, like, the girl or something that he had helped,
Oh, yeah.
like, hated his guts after the fact? I thought that was better.
Yeah. No, Riddick's an interesting series. I wonder if they'll ever make any more of those.
Probably not. I wish Vin Diesel's game studio,
Oh, because they had made that game?
well, yeah. And it still exists. What's up?
Can I finish the plot of 3?
Oh.
As to why it's a loss? Because I know that if we start talking about Riddick, we're going to go on forever.
I mean, we should probably not just talk about plot summaries, though.
No, okay. But can I finish why this is a loss?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, everyone that she cared about from the previous film, dead. Bishop is still around, but he's still only has half his body, considering that he was torn apart by the alien queen in the previous film. So she only talks with him a little bit. But she was picked up by a prison colony on an asteroid or some remote planet. And it's just a bunch of these guys, and they're terrible, obviously, because many of them were murderers and criminals prior to being put there. But I suppose, yeah, I mean, I've been spoiling all of these, but she finds out that somehow en route she was impregnated by the aliens. And there is another egg that somehow was on board, and it impregnated a dog and then made this dog alien hybrid, and it's going around killing the what would you call them? The inmates, I don't know, the prisoners one by one. And at the very end, Sigourney Weaver's character, once again, is one of the only ones left because she has immunity in a way. The aliens don't want to kill her because, lo and behold, she's not just impregnated with a normal alien drone. She's impregnated with a queen.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens have no desire to kill a host that's going to give birth to a queen. And so, guess who shows up? But Weyland-Yutani. And they say, that is our military asset. We want that thing. It turned out that all the previous times that, like, the Nostromo being sent to that one planet, the colony, it was all because they had meddled in things and wanted to use the aliens as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been dying to get their hands on a live specimen and to get their hands especially on a queen, because a queen can produce more of these things for them. And she's confronted, and this colony was like a mining facility as well, and there's a lot of lava and such, and smelters. And so she's standing at the edge of this precipice, and she says, no, I won't let you have this thing, and throws herself into the flames, killing the alien queen along with her, but also keeping it out of the hands of Weyland-Yutani. So, would you consider that a victory in its own way, or is it still sort of win-win loss? Because that was an instance where she didn't survive. She wasn't able to overcome, but she was still able to prevent Weyland-Yutani from getting their specimen.
Pyrrhic victory.
Pyrrhic victory?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you won, but was it worth it?
Wait, what? No, the thing is, if she had let them take her, they would have extracted it from her and then would have used it to subjugate
Yeah, I'm
the
just
rest
saying.
of the galaxy or the human systems. Like, that was... I suppose she was putting the lives of hundreds, thousands of others, because she knew that they couldn't control this thing. Every time people tried to control the aliens, it always failed. What was your example of win-win loss?
Oh, Dead Space.
Dead Space. Okay. I thought, for some reason, maybe it was because of the way the games looked, I always thought it was always loss, loss, loss.
I mean, they were all kind of not great.
I thought it was a series where the main character changed every single one because they always died at the end. No, they do have a character that carries over?
Main character is the same guy every single Dead Space game.
Wow, kudos to him then for surviving.
Mm-hmm. And, like, the first two, it makes a lot of sense. You know, he survived because, well, the reason why he came back in the second one made a lot of sense. I don't actually know what the deal was in the third. But first game, he's just an engineer sent to the, I forget the name of the ship, honestly. But he is sent to the ship to, like, fix it and help and,
But he finds everyone's dead or crazy.
And everyone's just dying around him. Oh, come on.
Oh, their bond isn't strong enough to get you good gemstones?
No, it was 199%. If it goes up to 200%, then it,
Then it levels up.
yeah, rolls over.
Ah, mm-hmm. So how does he survive that one? Just by killing enough creatures?
Yeah.
And making his way out?
Effectively, at the end of Dead Space 1, you,
Weren't there also people that wanted
yes.
the infection
Well,
to spread?
the Unitarians, effectively this, like, crazy cult was super passionate about ascending humanity and, like, they were freezing all of their people for the inevitable ascension. And, like, they had held on to this marker and, like, kept it around just to keep,
That's the 2001 A Space Odyssey sort of black stone pillar, like, ooh,
Yeah.
thing,
pretty much.
right?
Yeah.
Does it make noise?
Uh,
Probably not a chorus of haunting voices, though.
it's more like whispers, I think.
Mm.
And it causes people to turn into horrible flesh beasts.
Yeah. I wonder what is so symbolic about a monolith. Especially something as plain as a pitch black rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Yeah. Dunno. But so you managed to put the marker back in the planet at the end of Dead Space 1, effectively sealing it away.
What about the planet makes it sealed?
It was just in the planet. I guess that's where it needed to be. I don't know. But so the main character is haunted by it and effectively gets back to human space and they throw him in a mental hospital.
Oh, I hate those endings. Actually, that's one... Didn't that happen in the Cthulhu game we played and we were angry with it?
Yeah. And so they throw him in a mental hospital. But it turns out what they're actually doing is harvesting his knowledge of... they're harvesting his knowledge of the marker to recreate it?
Oh,
or
no.
something like that, yeah. And so, yay, fireworks.
Yeah, you see, that is such a common trope in
Yep.
sci-fi series. The evil organization or company that wants to control something beyond their understanding.
And so they, so effectively Isaac goes around, eventually finds out that it's kind of this, like, weird ghost of his dead girlfriend, that's been manipulating him largely this entire time.
Well, does this thing consume the spirits of anyone that it turns, or what's the deal?
It drives everyone mad.
But
And
then how did it get her
it
her
wants
voice?
to be, like, released. You know, it's
so maybe
been a little while.
maybe it uses her voice specifically because it knows that he
Yeah,
would
and so
trust
it's not entirely clear if it's her or not, but effectively it's this alien. It's just it's effectively if the Flood were full sentient from Halo.
and it was using your parents' voices or something else to lure you.
Yeah.
It's like Attack of the Crab Monsters when they ate people's best friends and then used their voices to try to lure their companions to them so that the crab monsters could eat them too. And in that movie, they were just literally giant crabs. They didn't even look like they were humanoid. Ah, the 50s. Perhaps? But... Okay, so what about Dead Space 2?
But at the end of Dead Space 2, it turns out that, like, this alien civilization has effectively been leading everybody into a death trap for forever.
Why?
Because they wanted to, like, facilitate their return, ?
So it's like this, where they need
We'd have to
human
play Dead Space 3
souls
to
or
get it. All I know
corpses?
is it just ends poorly. Like, for everyone involved.
Oh.
That's unfortunately all I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's on our list of games to potentially go back to and
Yeah,
play.
it's like I was tempted to pick it up now that it's on Steam, but we might already own it on the Epic Game, or not the Epic Game Store, on Origin. But I was looking at it and I was looking at it on Steam, and it's like to buy it, you have to get all the DLC, and the DLC is stupid expensive.
Really?
Yeah, it's like $50, and it's just like,
What? But what's in the DLC? Just skins or extra story bits?
I think it's both, but like we might already own all of that stuff on the Origin version, so I don't know. It's also like there's no rush because as far as I know, well, they shut down the studio.
Oh.
So like chances are there will never be another Dead Space. At least in the way that it was. If we're lucky at some point, either they revive it, or, you know, some of the ex-studio heads go and just make kind of a spiritual successor that is just kind of the follow-up. Or their own version that is not, you know, owned by EA. I'm fine with, honestly, either of these options.
Well, making something new would be nice. Because there was something that was always off-putting about Dead Space. We tried playing the Wii one, didn't we?
We did.
That didn't really work out very well. Did it?
We just played for like half an hour, and it was...
Was that one co-op as well? I think it was.
Yeah, it was an okay rail shooter. I think was the real answer, but we just, you know, had other things to do.
Yeah, we'd really liked Darkside Chronicles on the Wii, so we wanted to try the other on-rail shooters. That was Dead Space Extraction,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably stop so you can do other things with yourself today. Because I'm not doing anything interesting.
Yeah, you're just crafting, aren't you?
I mean, I've been crafting, I'm hunting for rare things. My crystal supplies were full. And
And
so
you can't sell anything, can you?
I can sell these, but we've been using, like, old tier crystal garbage for forever.
So you need more crystals.
Yeah,
you
and
need,
so
you need to use the tier 4 or 5 crystals.
which is what I'm doing. I'm not even bothering with the T3 stuff. Because the T4 stuff is pretty good, and has a chance to be upgraded to T5.
Man, those heels look like they hurt.
She's got robo feet.
Yeah, I know, but high heels are terrible. I think they say that you're not supposed to have a heel that is 2 inches or more than where the ball of your feet comes down. Which isn't much. You see people wearing 4, 5-inch heel differences, and it's just ouch, ouch, ouch. So much. Those look like they'd be 3-inch heels. Maybe 4. Nah, no, still probably 3 or 3.5. Based off the angle of her foot. At least they're not stilettos. Couldn't imagine anyone walking around in that. That was interesting. Didn't Egil have stilettos? Looked more like a claw on the back.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this stuff is actually really terrible. Oh. Because there's the real answer.
Poison.
Yeah, so the real answer is just, like, don't even bother with T4 stuff. All of the level 5 stuff is just crazy.
And at this point, you've gotten so far in the game, you just have a number of those crystals at your disposal.
T6? They do?
Wait, what? There's a such thing as a tier 6?
For some of them. No, for all of them. Oh.
But tier 6 has to be the last because I only see tabs up to 5.
Yeah, so I'm getting a bunch of T5s off of various enemies. Well...
Does this build affinity between your characters too?
No, but it benefits from high affinity levels.
Oh.
I wish it did.
I would think crafting gems together would make you more amicable towards one another. It would be nice.
Okay. Well, anyway.
I think the reason why you don't see win-win-loss is because it makes you feel so invested in the journey of the characters, only to have such a letdown at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of tarnishes everything else for you.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's more common for it to be win-loss-win. Because, in a trilogy at the least. Because you know that they will come back from the loss to win again. Though, I'm pretty sure there have also been instances of loss, pseudo-win, and then win.
Yeah.
Where the character starts weak. They don't do well. And, you know, just barely makes it out. But then they build as time goes on.
Dang.
30% chance? More poison damage? Oh, Riki's so cute.
He is.
What do you think about his face makes him cutest? Is it the giant kind of opalescent eyes?
It's just everything.
Is it the little mouth, the little animal curve to the mouth? Or is it just the little round blush circles in his cheeks? What is it?
It's just everything.
Because do you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say it's all the mouth.
It's definitely the eyes too, though.
No. But we were looking at Dumban briefly, and I was thinking, which of those features that I just mentioned on Riki would make Dumban look cuter? I put the eyes on in my head. Oh gosh, that looks freaky. I put the blush on. Ew, now he looks weird. I put the cute little curved mouth, and I go, aw.
Dumble.
But do you know what I mean? Imagine if you have a generic anime face. And you put those eyes on them. And then you put that mouth on them. And then you put that blush on them. I suppose the blush can make... If it's an anime girl, maybe the blush would make them cuter.
Mm-hmm.
But the eyes are just haunting if they're just the dark orbs. If for a human character at the very least. I suppose the mouth just has that kind of mischievous cat-like quality to it. And you see it drawn on chibis, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the character themselves aren't feline in nature.
Yeah.
Rabalam. Vang? Oh, it's one of the bats.
Yeah, so because I've been fighting a lot of like really high tier things and some other stuff,
What?
you're just super freaking strong. My one kind of disappointment in this is that I'm doing all of this work to get all this stuff, and we are just going to
Go on a giant cutscene,
where we just horribly dunk on Mr. I am a god, you know, blah blah blah. Like, Zanza is just going to get wrecked. I'll turn off casual mode.
What, for the final battle?
Yeah, I mean, I can turn it off whenever. I've mostly had it on so I don't have to worry about levels. But, like, we're just going to destroy him, and I'm already doing all of the post-game fights right now.
Oh, you mean post-game you just go around killing creatures?
Yeah. Yeah, like dazzling
Tolosnia.
Tolosnia, yeah.
Tolosnia.
But like this sucker, for example, not actually,
Not actually what?
this sucker's stronger than Zanza, probably.
What level is Zanza gonna be? You'd think that Zanza would be level 100. Also, look at Riki's numbers right now.
Yep, he has hit the HP cap. He hit the HP cap a couple levels ago. And he's still got.
So 9999
yep.
is the HP cap.
He's still got a little ways to go before he hits max.
I still find it amusing that he is the smallest character but the hardiest of them all.
Yep, he is an absolute ball. Let's see. Yeah, he's... I kind of wish there weren't HP and damage caps or anything like that in these games. Or if there's like a means of surpassing that. Maybe there is.
Hmm.
Let's see. But yeah, we're just gonna dunk on Sansa.
Whoop.
Yeah, missed that. Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I
What do you got planned for dinner? Or not dinner, lunch?
I mean, that's the thing. Whenever we get groceries, we leave it for a number of days so that we don't touch something that was recently in the store delivered.
Part of the reason why I kind of want to order groceries a little sooner than we do, because we always wait.
Well, we could have toast and chowder. We could have pizza. We could have the meat sauce with pasta. Or that package still might be thawing. Who knows?
Sad thing is, it's actually better for me to not do anything. Once I've got the status effects on them, it's actually better for me to just hit.
Not even to use more damaging attacks?
Nope. Because the most damaging attacks are setting this thing on fire and then just waiting for it to go and then refreshing it.
Well, he wasn't on fire there.
Yeah, it's because it runs out. I think there's a perk that I can get that will give me more debuff duration, so I'll probably spec into that.
Why would you have an attack called Virgin Bite? That's so weird.
Just, you know, casual Dracula things.
Because I don't know if it's supposed to mean it's the first bite or the fact that this spider is a fair maiden. Who's probably never met a male spider in this cavern system. Nor would they want to, because they know that if they try to court her, she's just going to eat them after the fact.
Nipply. Let's see. I've gone through a lot of extra work here.
Just to get this?
Yep.
Oh, she's like, oh, you've opened that door.
The
Yep.
door has opened. Yay!
You were amazing. I'm too afraid to go through it. Let me think about this. She's seen a lot of Indiana Jones movies. She knows that there's going to be traps.
Then you do it. It's too spooky.
Prayer room. There's words written here. Okay, so...
Getting an inscription rubbing. But what else do we have here?
Some items? Oh, wait, what is that patch? It's like a little garden patch. Ancient Lily.
Probably for another quest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to sacrifice like a Doombringer spider heart to this thing just to go get a flower.
Wait, the path of absolution. The path walked when offering a
When offering a sacrifice to the white
offspring?
spiders.
I think I was thinking of the spiders. Offering. Okay.
It's lined by the memorial tablets of those offered as sacrifices.
I'll run this book.
Let's see. Bring me back a tablet. Serve as a key for the next door.
So there's a door on the right side of the ritual altar too?
Maybe?
Yeah, sorry. I was in spider mode. And there was definitely going to be mention of spiders, so spider offspring versus offering.
Oh, wants me to go over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Quick thing. What level are we actually? 84. Well. Never mind then.
What were you looking at?
Oh, expert mode. You will, you gain bonus EXP that you can spend to, like,
All of
level
these
up.
are really noise activated?
Yep.
That's a pain.
Fight me. At this point, doing side quests is actually worth less EXP than just fighting a single one of these creatures.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's because you're not supposed to fight things wildly above your level, normally.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing so because it's real easy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're strong enough. Might be a good idea to get Dunban just like a smidge more HP, but even then it's really not that big of a deal. I should try Shulk next. See if I can just make him stupid strong. He already is, but still. Main thing is just Riki increases enemy drops. Especially with the thief skills.
So you get more items.
Yeah, which we need. Anyway, let's finish this quest and then stop recording because
Yep. That's fine.
I think we had a lovely conversation.
But yeah,
This series is already stupidly long.
we don't know when. That's the thing. We don't know when any more cutscenes will occur unless we continue with the Tyrea story. Unless it's resolved for now, and you don't
I
know
think
when
it's
she's
resolved
gonna
for now. I'll just
pop
keep
up again.
I'll just keep the recording going.
I'm sure we'll see her in the future. She might be one of those characters that admits that she is part Homs, and
Or maybe she's in
makes a
the
sacrifice.
the epilogue.
That's possible too.
I just know my stomach is starting to rumble uncomfortably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's audible from here.
And I'm gonna go for a brownie if I'm not sated soon. Which, like, isn't the end of the world, and I might do so anyway, but...
Brownies are good.
They are good.
Yeah, the fudge ones. Love chocolate.
Okay. I'll hurry for this one a little.
I hope we don't encounter too many more spiders in our house. We've been encountering a couple a day for a couple weeks now. And they're all these tiny little jumpers. Or, oh wait a minute, no, there was that giant, pitch black one that with the very long legs. Do you remember it? Downstairs?
Mm-hmm.
And it scuttled across the floor. It was about 2 inches long. I had to squish it with my shoe. That was gross. So very gross. Some of my friends are actually able to pick them up and throw them outside. I wouldn't touch a spider. I know that they're capable of nipping.
I might have bit off more than I can chew. We'll see.
Speaking of biting, there was also that when we were temporarily gardening outdoors, or I should say briefly gardening outdoors, just to cut back some of the plants that had grown too long. A tiny little red mite got on my hand and bit me. It's healed up. It was a little bit itchy when it first bit. I, of course, squished the thing and smeared all its entrails over my skin. That was fun. But it resembles the mites that you see crawling around on the stones.
Yeah.
But I was looking it up, and there were 3 things that it could be, and 2 of them weren't known to bite, but the last one would have made something immensely painful, so that it clearly wasn't that. So I don't know. Maybe they're wrong about the other ones being capable of biting. Or incapable of biting.
I'm just looking forward to Grounded and being able to stab them.
I think I've only been bitten by a spider twice. And you can tell because there are 2 little marks next to each other. Like fangs.
Mm-hmm. I think I was once when I was a kid. And that was about it.
Mm-hmm. For me, it must have happened in my sleep or when I didn't even notice, because I don't remember a spider ever actively jumping on, sitting on, or just biting me. Though there are many that try to get to me. What are you laughing about?
I'm just infinite chain, doing chain moves. I'm fighting so many enemies that every time Dunban does that spin move, it pretty much guarantees I can immediately go into another chain attack.
Oh, is it because if he hits multiple enemies at once, is that what happens?
Yeah, it charges the whole thing. That and status effects and some other stuff.
Dunban is down. Okay,
Get
now
back
he's up
you
again.
Slacker. But like my fire damage is so high that just they're all burning to death.
Mm-hmm. Now, do they say that that's just because of the magic at Riki's disposal, or is he actually gouting flames from his mouth?
No.
Are Nopon... do they have to eat as much as they do because they do use it as fuel for flames?
Maybe, possibly. I mean, it says he's, like, literally spitting it up, so...
Mm-hmm. You have to be wary of people who are capable of just blowing fire out their mouths.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I wish there were more, I wish there were more RPGs that, like, by the end of it, it is super clear that the party is, like, inhuman.
Oh, wait. Something opened down there.
Oh, you're right.
Have you ever been down there? It's a crypt. The Soothsayer's Crypt.
I think this is where I'm supposed to take this sacrificial tablet.
Oh.
But, like, how many JRPGs do you have where the characters just go back to their normal lives after effectively killing, like, a god?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Giant Soothsayer's resting place.
But we found the door.
Yeah, we've been there.
We've been there, lady. I think it shouldn't have opened until you got this tablet. I don't know why it did. It activated as soon as we passed it. And now there's an item.
But yeah, have there been any stories where, like, it does acknowledge how, like, ridiculous the people are by the end of the story?
Wait, what was it? A
Moonlight book.
Oh.
With this in the Starlight book, you can answer the riddle of the ruins.
Go back to Colony 9. Alright.
And she'll give us the reward.
Back at Colony 9.
Yeah, that's okay. I think we're done with this area.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think that's it for this area. Pretty thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great. So you're going back to the gemstone stall?
Yeah, it's just the one that it always defaults to first.
Mm-hmm.
She's supposedly over here somewhere. Hey! Now we're actually getting a couple more quests.
Do we have two female characters that consider each other best friends?
Nope. Oh, it's this guy. With the final stage of my plan, you must know the plan.
Wait, is this because we're joining their gang?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got, like, a weird plan. And, like...
Should be stopped if it appears too dangerous?
Yeah, this is a dumb plan.
Oh, to beat some creature?
Yeah, but it's just like, we should have done this quest a long time ago, but they kept not showing up. Like, whether... regardless of what time of day I was here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it one of those where I straight up haven't been able to see the quest givers because I just wasn't close enough to them? Or is it an affinity thing? I don't know. One way or another, we're gonna get like a bunch of side quests that are just like, hey!
Wait, there was a mysterious light?
Yeah, but it's like, look at the EXP 700. This is a quest we should have gotten a long time ago.
Interesting.
But, like, I can do it almost instantaneously. It's not that big of a deal. It's just one of those where it's like, I wish they had been more obvious about all of these quests, and there were just less of them. Alright, let's go get a reward, though.
Yes, at last. Well, what did she glean from the 2 books?
Let's see.
Oh, okay, so she looked through the 2 books.
Learned so much about the giants. Turns out the giants' fate was linked to the white spiders.
Wait, what?
Giant in the Comfit was in fact the giant soothsayer. We knew that. Soothsayer subjugated the white spiders. When they died, the white spiders were freed. That's when they amassed power. Giants offered sacrifices in order to avoid a war. But then the giants all died.
Yep. Well then, but the giants, that would be like
Arglass's people.
Arglass and Dixon, whatever Dixon's real giant name is.
Mm-hmm. That's not even a very good thing. Alright. Well, it's fine.
That's a situation where they were overpowered by creatures they couldn't control.
Yep. So if I look at the affinity chart, yeah, we ain't hundoing this game.
Yeah, how do you manage to get more affinity with these? Just by
Doing
completing all
every
of the
side
quests?
quest. But the problem is, like, I had to find half of them, and apparently I didn't do a good job of it. I was, like, frequently coming back here, but it just wasn't enough. Oh.
Oh, it helped her out. That was just another part of the Shura's science.
Yeah, pretty sure. I don't know what the crowns are for. Oh. Wait.
Yeah, some are filled in and some are not.
Oh, we're looking at... That's the Colony 9. If it's filled in, it's done.
Okay.
Alright, anyway.
Aww.
None of this is worth it, so I'm gonna go back to working on the Replica Monado.
Mm-hmm.
And you can figure out food.
Okay.
Because
Food time.
pretty much the Tephra Cave bonus area, I think, was the only, like, new zone that opened up. There's probably a couple other ones, but I don't know them. Oh, before we do, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we can catch it on camera.
What? What is this? I was falling asleep.
Vengeance.
Oh!
Immovable Gonzalez, my butt.
Immovable Gonzalez.
Or like Crispy Gonzaga. Past him? Nope, I'm gonna fall. Maybe he'll move. Dunban's gonna fall.
Yep, he's
Trying
off the
real
edge.
hard.
Actually, Charla isn't doing well either, but at least she can do ranged attacks. Well, we're making a move.
Yeah, I don't think that move's worth it. Probably better to just keep my stats fixed up. You ready now?
Oh, it's at 50% HP. Oh, Rampage. What's going... Did he increase in size or it's just the glow? Maybe it's just the glow.
Can't tell. He was huge to start, and he's huge. He's huge still.
It looks like he's about King Kong levels of tall.
He's got a serious case of slab foot.
It's weird. He's a combination of baboon, wolf, and reptile. Like, he has scales atop his feet and then along his hands or arms. Yeah, the sort of like bracer.
Nope. Bye, Charlotte.
Oh, she fell?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh.
He's melting.
And you got a Gogol horn. Was there a
Yeah.
special appearance item?
No, it was one of the... Well, actually, I'm assuming the Gogol horn is actually something we needed for, was actually something we needed for the, for one of the replica Monados.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, I thought we did need the horn for a Monado. But why didn't he have an exclamation point above his head like these guys do? Wait, what's that exclamation point?
The red one? It's probably another creature. Effectively, we have to go out and just kill things until we get a rare spawn. Might be this item, actually. Yeah. Oh! It's a freaking walnut grape.
A walnut grape.
So a long time ago, somebody said, "Don't get the walnut grapes." It's for the Nopon that's making the booze, and you're not supposed to pick up the walnut grape because it's gonna give you the bad ending. But I can't get the other one very easily, and so it's really tempting to just get the walnut grape because I'm just not gonna finish the quest anyway. And, like, who cares about the good?
Oh, but then he's gonna make a bad drink for all his friends.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's just the time expenditure.
Where's the good fruit?
I don't know. At this point, like, we are 50 levels higher than what's relevant.
I don't want to give him bad fruit.
I guess I just don't care anymore because the quest is so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You got more walnut grapes. Oh.
I thought the quest was updated, but I think we have to go back to them, so I guess I'll just get rid of the walnut grapes when I can.
Daughter Armu?
Yep.
Magnus Ardun.
Hello, Daddy. I'm here to bone you and your family.
I hate this. I hate it when you have to kill wildlife in video games.
Works when it's like Monster Hunter, where you have to take him out.
Well, in Monster Hunter, there are these giant carnivorous creatures that are killing people and are a threat. But
yeah,
but herbivores grazing out in a field, that seems.
The threat is I need a thing from them. Okay, well, we did the interesting quest. We could keep commentating over this, but that will lead to me just spending my entire day recording Xenoblade and starving.
And starving simultaneously.
Very hungry. Is that it? Yep, that was it. Alright. I'll go cycle the recording. This is fun, though. I still think we should start a podcast.